Welcome to the Apostolic Forum. I'm Dana Thompson. Today we're just chilling and having a good time and looking forward to just talking about creative arts, music. Here to discuss these topics with me is Marty Williams. How are you, Marty?
I'm good, Dana.
Always good to see you.
Good to be seen.
And also, Mr. Cook. How are you, sir?
All right. How are you?
Do you like to be called by your last name or your first name?
First name, Cadell, is fine.
Cadell's fine? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll refer to you as Cadell from this point on.
I appreciate it.
Cadell, it's your first time on the broadcast.
It is. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. We usually ask you for about a minute. Tell something about yourself so, you know, our audience can just know a little bit more about you so they can feel more personal.
Okay. My name is Cadell Cook. I went to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I studied music recording technology. I graduated magna cum in 2004, and I worked in post-production audio ever since. Well,
great, man. Thank you for the explicit background.
Well, you know, when I was 7, I fell out of a tree once. It was traumatic. That didn't happen.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, Marty, why don't you, tell a little bit more about your, how did you get to where you are as far as your background a little bit,
Okay, my name's Marty Williams, and let's see, I do a lot. I'm a construction manager, project manager by day, and the masked Christian MC by night. I don't know.
He left his cape at home.
It's kind of crazy how the Lord worked that out, but I guess while I was in college, became a Christian and got introduced to Christian music, and so because I like to write and I like to do music, I still do music, but unlike Mr. Cook, that's not my profession, by day, so still got to put food on the table.
Did you bring one of your CDs today?
Oh, I forgot.
Oh man, you have to make sure next time you come on, I want you to, because we haven't heard one of your CDs yet. You got to make sure one of the songs from your CDs, you got to bring it so we can hear.
I should have brought it inside something on the car, but.
So let's talk about music, man. Where exactly do we see music in today's society? How do we see music fitting in to helping people get to where they need to get?
Okay, I'll jump that in. How do I see music in society? I think it's an integral part of society. The interesting thing I think is interesting about music is that every single segment of society has its own way to be musical. Like every culture, every subculture, you go down south, you got country and western, you go to South America, they got music. I mean, everywhere you go, people are musical. So I think it's an excellent way of expression. It's an excellent way sometimes even to convey ideas, easier sometimes than just saying that you can convey things musically. So music has always been an integral part of society, and I think it will continue to remain so.
Yeah. How would you go? Where do you see music in society? How do you see it fit in?
Well, today, especially in the African American community, music is always surrounding us. I mean, just even going to cookouts, there's always has to be something playing, it just
it's summertime.
That too. It's just part of us, that's how we communicate, that's how we leave our mark on society, and in a way it kind of paints a picture of what we as a society believes and what we kind of agree with. We put it in our music. Sometimes society's a reflection of music, sometimes music is a reflection of society, but either way it all works together, and it shows our surrounding community who we are as who creates the music. If it's a type of R&B or soul that represents the demographic that it appeals to, and it just says a lot about the people that are involved in the music.
Right.
So it does represent us as a people.
Right. Well, this past week, one of the greatest icons to the music ministry has passed. I'm referring to Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. And, I'm sure all of us can remember ABC 1, 2, 3, to Beat It, to Thriller, to, how do you see, Mike footprints as far as on society? How do you feel from watching his life? Did you study history? Do you know a lot about, you know, previous artists, or do you stay more up to date on the artists of today, and you don't have any concern with that?
I had to leave that stuff
Those
back
guys
here.
in the back, who cares?
No, I think, you know, Mike was such an interesting individual. I mean, I think he was so talented. Like he was even more talented than I think he could probably even handle sometimes. You know, my wife and I, we were watching the memorial last week, and out of the whole thing, because it was almost like an award show, like people was coming expecting awards, it was so big. But one thing that Berry Gordy said that really stuck out to me, and I shared it with my wife afterwards. I said, "Do you hear what Berry Gordy got on stage?" And he said, "You know, I know Michael Jackson. I've known him since he was like, you know, this big, you know, 5 years old or whatever." And he said, "You know, Michael's two different people." He was like, the person he was on stage is not the person he was behind closed doors. He was very shy, introverted, you know, very quiet. But when he got on stage, you know, you think he was Superman, you know, the way he was just jumping all across the stage. But he's like, all these years, people thought that's who he was. And you know, for me, you know, I was telling her after he said that, I said, that's amazing that is what he was kind of like created to do. You know, he did what he was created, which is why it seemed like, you know, he was another person when he got on there, because it's almost like he hit his stride when he was doing this thing on stage, and then when he wasn't, it almost like it was like David Banner and the Incredible Hulk almost, you know, like once he was finished, it's like he went back to David Banner. But when he was being the Hulk, he was the Hulk on stage, and, you know, dancing and singing. And because Berry Gordy even said, you know, I think of him as bigger than just the king of pop. I think of him almost like the greatest entertainer that ever lived, because he had the full package: dancing, singing, creativity, you know, the whole nine. So for me, Mike, his footprint, you know, is not only, you know, for the music he did, but for the whole package, like the entire entertainment value that he brought to the table. It's almost really like it still hasn't yet to be touched again. You know, it's like people are still trying to get to that. So I think, you know, for me, it kind of shows, you know, if this is what you kind of were created to do, you know, hit it like, you know, like it's like you're the Incredible Hulk almost.
No.
So.
Well, Fidel, you have any memoirs for, you know, what you've learned from the life of Michael Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, Michael Jackson, calling him Mike like I know him. You know, Mike, me and him. Michael Jackson was like something that has never happened before and won't really happen again.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing that just think about the time where he kind of started. Him and his brothers, they became a world-renowned group. As they were a black group, and they were so talented that they got to the level that people just didn't even notice that they were black anymore. They were worldwide. You know, I mean, they saw they were black, but they didn't see that anymore. They just saw raw talent. You know, and him being in the public eye in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, nobody even really thought of him as, you know, a black entertainer. They thought of him as the entertainer. So it's just like he was so good that he got people to see past that when he was on stage.
Wow.
You know, he became something else.
Right.
Like Amadi was saying, you know.
That's
so he represented what a lot of us kind of shoot for in whatever it is that we do. We want to become the best that we can be. Right. And he found his niche. He found exactly what he was supposed to do, and he just worked it. You know, nobody was better than him at it, because he found what he was supposed to do early on, and, you know, he just became something else. You know, nobody can really match that.
Right. So to me, that's the essence of where we learn about the glory of a thing, you know. I don't know if you've ever been to a mountain, and actually if you've ever seen any type of eagle or a bird in its true ascent or descent with his wings stretched out all the way, and just beholding it for a second, you just realize that he's in his element, you know. He's basically, you can tell he's free, you can tell he's being exactly what he is, that, you know, that eagle, and it just makes you feel like awe in your heart. And that's what I feel like when people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know, there's a certain glory that comes with that, where when people see you, like you said, they don't see you based on your race,